Good evening, friends. This late evening session is dedicated to class 12, lesson number 6 on the face of it by Suzanne Hill. Now, the question arises, what is this play, one act play all about? Well, this one act play is all about the perception of looking at one's life. See, there are two types of people in this world. One kind of people looks at life and only the bright side of it and ignores the negative aspect of life, and they enjoy life as it comes to them. The other type of people are those who suffer from certain inferiority complex or certain handicaps, and they always feel themselves inferior to others. As a result, they do not enjoy their life. They always curse their fate or curse God or someone else for their poor and miserable condition. But the fact is that this play highlights one central idea in the character of Mr. Lam, that one should always try to live life as it comes to us. One should never be disappointed with the life, even despite all the difficulties and physical inability or impairment. There are people in this world that they enjoy life as it comes to them despite all their handicaps, and that is what Mr. Lamb has shown. Now, there are two important characters in this play. One is an old man, Mr. Lamb, who is physically handicapped. He has lost one of his leg in war. He was a soldier, and one of his legs was blown off in a war. So he is physically, impaired, and but despite his physical handicaps, he enjoys life as it comes to him. The second character is a 14-year-old boy, Derry, who is a bit defiant and repulsive, and he is always affected by the bitterness of life, because his one side of the face is disfigured because of the burn or due to acid, and therefore he cannot really feel happy with his life, and often curses himself and curses the world for not loving him or not taking care of him. So let us see what happens. Now the first scene is of the garden of Mr. Lamb. Having found no sound, the boy Derek climbs over the wall of the Mr. Lamb's house and goes inside the garden. He sneaks into the garden. As there was no sound, he just thought that the house was empty. But when he heard the voice of Mr. Lamb, he was a little scared, and he explained to Mr. Lamb that he didn't have any intention to sneak into his garden, but he just thought that the house was empty, and therefore he climbed over the wall and came inside. Mr. Lamb assured him not to be worried of and not to be afraid of, and he said that his gates are always open and he is ready to welcome everybody. So he assures the child Derek not to be worried, not to be scared of him. But then the boy, Derek, tells him that he's not afraid of him, rather he's afraid of himself. His face is so ugly that nobody wants to see him and nobody wants to love him, and that is why actually he is afraid of his own face, which has become disfigured and burnt due to acid. Now, on this contrary to this, Mr. Lamb gives a different reply. He says that might be that your face has burnt in a fire, and you can say that the fire ate up my face. But Derek appears to be a little bit apprehensive. He says that people generally don't want to look towards me and talk about me, because my face, the second side of my face, is ugly and it has become disfigured. So now, deliberately, Mr. Lamb changes the topic. He just finds that now he's getting little bit irritated, so he changes the topic, deliberately, and Mr. Lamb tells that there are many beautiful things in this world to talk about. Why should we talk about all these things? Let us talk about many more beautiful things in this world. And he also says that people pretend to be I mean like that, but the fact is that there is everywhere there is a positive aspect and there is a negative aspect. Mr. Lamb's philosophy of life is that we should enjoy life as it comes to us despite all the inabilities and difficulties. He says that perhaps Derek or Derry is upset because he always looks at the negative aspect of life. His faces got burnt, might be his faces got burnt in fire. But Derry tells him that no, it is not the fire that has burnt his face, it is the acid that fell upon his face and his one side of the face got disfigured. It ate his face away, it ate his face. Derry is confused at Mr. Lamb's indifference, and he says that perhaps for Mr. Lamb it is a very, but Mr. Lamb explains that look, why I believe so is that there are things in this world, there are many more beautiful things in this world to enjoy and to talk about. Why should we, I mean, look at this thing? Mr. Lamb's reply to this really made a little bit, created some interest in. He said that, well, I'm interested in everybody and God has made everything that interests us. There is nothing in this world that God has created which cannot interest us. Therefore, we should always look into the things which have been created by God, and there are many more beautiful things God has created. He asked, Derry one question, that why does a grass which is green in color being called weed, and why does another plant which is also green is called flower? For Mr. Lamb, both I mean flower and the weed are green in color, and there is no difference for Mr. Lamb, and he takes both of them as life, and therefore he says that there is no difference in the green weed and the flower. For him they are the same. So we should never, I mean, become sad for one thing or the other. The philosophy of life is that we should take interest in everything that God has created, and all the things on this earth are in different forms and they are all beautiful and enjoyable. Then Mr. Lamb also reveals about that the incident that took place and that really blew his one of the legs. So he said that his one of the legs was blown off in a war, but that is not important. He said that let it be that my one leg was blown off in war, it doesn't matter. There are many more beautiful things in the world to talk about. Why should I take pain? And but what really is more important, that whenever the children looks at me they call me Lamey Lame, but I think this name suits me, so I always take it positive, that as the children call me Lamey Lame, perhaps this is a very suitable name for me, so I take it very positively and I don't react to their calling me Lamey Lame. So according to Mr. Lamb, there are plenty of things in this world which are far more beautiful and more important, and we should talk about them rather than that. Thus, Derry is filled with a little bit of bitterness, and he says that he does not believe in these fairy tales. His face will always remain the same. To this, Mr. Lamb tells him that he says that he should always, notice the beautiful things in the world and should not care about what the people say. Derry begins to mock the idea, saying that one should only think of all these things, but the reality is different. To this, I mean, this Mr. Lamb tells the philosophy of life. He tells that, look, the philosophy of life suggests that we should always enjoy life, all aspects of life as it comes to us. We should never, I mean, bother about what are the negative aspects. There is noticing there are no curtain on the on the windows of Mr. Lamb. Ask question why there are no curtains. He replies that he doesn't like curtain. He doesn't like. He wants to see the beauty outside his house, and therefore he keeps his window open. He doesn't put any curtain because he wants to see the sunlight, he wants to see the darkness, he wants to see the beautiful sky, and he wants to see everything that is outside, and all are beautiful. Therefore, in order to see the things outside, in order to feel the wind, in order to see the sun, in order to see and feel the light, he wants to keep his window without curtain. And to this, I mean, hearing all this, you know, the child Derek says that, well, he also likes to hear the wind. He also loves to see the beautiful things. And then Mr. Lamb realizes that there is some sensitiveness left in in that child, and therefore he decides to uh, inculcate some positive idea in the child Derek, and change his mind from negativity to positivity. He tells Derek that, look, there are many more things in this world to talk about, and you should never bother about what is the negative thing in you. Rather, you should see the things outside the world and just enjoy it as it comes to you. It doesn't matter in whatever way it comes. Derry asked Mr. Lamb if he has any friend. Mr. Lamb says that everybody is his friend, nobody is his enemy. He loves everybody, and that is the reason why he keeps his gate open for everyone to be welcomed. Mr. Lamb does not even know the name of the child, but when he talked to him, he became a friend. So it is not important that to make somebody friend, we should know details of that person. Anybody can be our friend. Even if we meet a person for the first time, we can become a friend of him. So that is how this story goes on and this play goes on. But one thing is very important in this play, that one should always try to look into life with a positive outlook, and we should never see the dark side of life. As this child Derek is having bitterness of life because he always looks at the dark side of life. On the other hand, despite all his handicaps, like Derek, Mr. Lamb, who is an old man, despite all his physical handicaps, he is able to enjoy life as it comes to him, only because his philosophy of life says that we should enjoy life as it comes to us. We should never look into the dark side of life, and we should enjoy nature and see the beauty of nature with an open eye. We should never try to get ourselves confined to the four wall. Rather, we should try to open our eyes towards the nature and see the beauty of the nature. We should feel the falling of the rain. We should feel the blowing of the wind, and we should also see the darkness and the light outside. This is an important thing for us to do, and that will keep all our bitterness away. And this really impresses, the child Drake, and he undergoes a transformation. The final scene shifts to the garden again, and Derek reaches there out of breath. He finds Mr. Lamb lying on the ground. He has been trying to pick up apples off the tree when the ladder fell, and he fell down along with him. And Derry tries to awaken him, but Mr. Lamb is unmoving. He is probably dead. Derry has lost his only friend, and that really inspired him. But he learned him a lesson, that one should never try to give up hope, and one should try to live life as it comes to us. So even when the poor man Lamb died, he taught Derek the lesson that one should never give up and try to live life as it comes to us, because it is important for everyone that we should try to live life in any form it comes to us. And that is what is the whole about this play. Thank you. Have a nice day ahead.